Road work still there in Surrey at 104th and 154th, causing a tie-up for all directions. If you see anything else, accident stalls, road worker volume, star 1130. Traffic for Drainmaster. Drainmaster is your trenchless expert, specializing in water lines, sewer lines, and drain tile repairs without digging a trench. Visit drainmastertrenchless.com.
Well, let's head over to the Penfold Roofing and Solar Weather Center now. News 1130 meteorologist Michael Goosen. We've been talking about the possibilities from clear breaks this afternoon. I don't know if we're going to see the sun, though, because, I mean, the clock's ticking. It sets now at, what, like 2:30 or something like that?
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's down there. It's 4:37, so we have a couple more hours to go. But you're right, the day ends quickly. Last night with the cloud cover, the rain, the snow that rolled in for some neighborhoods, it felt like it was night at 3 o'clock. Today it should be a little bit brighter and lighter as we get toward those sunset hours. As you head through the afternoon, some sunny breaks are in there, as Paul mentioned. It's otherwise still mainly cloudy with the sunny breaks. Daytime high just at 7 degrees. Drops down to -1 overnight. A little frosty first thing with a few clear breaks. I'm calling for a mix of sun and cloud for Remembrance Day. That we are going to see at least a risk of a few pop-up showers. Nothing major, if anything at all. The daytime high up to 7. And then Thursday we're back to some rain, especially into the afternoon. Expect a high temperature up to about 8 degrees. Currently in Langley, it is now 6 degrees. We're at 5 degrees in Surrey around Guildford. Your daytime high up to 7.
News 1130 time 103.
Well, an independent group says it has tracked a record high number of COVID exposures in BC schools through a single day.
News 1130's Ash Kelly is hearing how trust is breaking down even further between parents and public health officials over how information is being shared.
Officials maintain there are few transmissions occurring in schools, but Kathy Marlis, who started the Facebook group BC COVID School Tracker, says she's been busier than ever after being contacted about 34 notices that were sent out just yesterday. The new number adds 10 events on top of News 1130's earlier estimates from this morning.
In Chilliwack, as an example, I think was 38 kids that were unfortunately tested positive, and then those students went to school. And been heard that other teachers and other students have been infected because of that.
Marlis says parents are losing faith in the information they're being given as they hear about multiple cases being lumped into single exposure notices. She says more hybrid and online learning should be made available to families who want those options. I'm Ash Kelly.
Not easy being a hockey parent these days. Probably any day, really. But with this evolving pandemic, restrictions are forcing entire leagues to operate on the fly now. News 1130's Hannah May Nassar hearing from the head of BC Hockey, who says despite the challenges, the most important thing is for kids to get on the ice safely.
Competitive hockey has been effectively put on hold in the Vancouver Coastal and Fraser Health regions, and it's a change that came with very little notice. But speaking on Sportsnet 650, BC Hockey CEO Cameron Hope is giving credit to the individual associations and districts for acting fast.
But everybody settled in pretty quickly, adapted quickly, and came out of the weekend with clear direction to their members about what that's going to look like for the next couple of weeks.
He admits things have not been consistent across the board, with parents and players having to deal with different rules around spectator numbers and dressing room protocol.
We give a little here and we take a little there. We just make sure that we adapt.
There won't be any playoffs in BC minor hockey this year, but Hope is hoping to have some sort of replacement event set up for the spring. I'm Hannah May Nassar.
Well, WorkSafe BC stepping up inspections, and Fraser Health and Vancouver Coastal as virus cases surge in both health regions. While some welcome the increased scrutiny, others fear there's still a lack of clarity on what businesses have to do here.
The information isn't clearly accessible on the WorkSafe BC website, according to Muriel Protzer with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, who says many of her members are still confused about what's actually required.
And so there's a lot of concern coming from small business owners who desperately want to be doing the right thing, but don't have the available information to make sure that they are doing the right thing at the end of the day.
Meanwhile, Ian Tossenson with the BC Restaurant and Food Services Association says bring the inspections on.
Bad eggs should be closed. Inspections we welcome. The more inspections, the better. The more we can adjust, the better.
I'm Martin McMahon.
Well, to the numbers, and it's been another record-breaking day for COVID cases in Ontario. That province reporting almost 1,400 new infections in the last day. More than 500 of them, Toronto alone. Neighboring Quebec, almost as bad. 38 more deaths, nearly 1,200 new cases. Here in BC, we're expecting our numbers probably in a couple hours or so. New case counts hovering at around 500 every day for the last several days.
Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has a message for some government leaders. Get things under control.
We're seeing record spikes across the country. So I urge the premiers and the mayors to please do the right thing. act now to protect public health.
BC's premier has already threatened further restrictions if people don't get their acts together and case numbers drop.
Well, some good COVID news for once. Pfizer's promising vaccine, which the pharmaceutical giant says showing to be about 90% effective in the early testing, actually has a Canadian connection. Vancouver biotech company Acutus Therapeutics developing lipid nanoparticles. These are the things that they act as like the delivery system for the vaccine. It moves through our bodies and into our cells before the body can actually break it down. Pfizer, meantime, stressing that its vaccine candidate still with a while to go yet before it can actually be distributed, but adds it is offering a glimmer of hope amid this pandemic.
Meanwhile, the Quebec-based pharmaceutical company Medicago says its plant-derived vaccine for COVID has shown promising early results in a phase 1 clinical trial. The company says after 2 doses of its vaccine, 100% of subjects developed a promising antibody response with short, mild to moderate side effects. Based on that, the company plans to proceed with phase 2-3 clinical trial if it gets regulatory approval.
Michael Coos has been talking about the possibility of some clear breaks this afternoon. We'll see if that comes to fruition. He'll be back in about 5 minutes or so with all the details. Right now, though, it's still overcast, but it's warming up. We're at 5 degrees in downtown Vancouver under overcast skies. Well, to U.S. politics, in a week after the election, ballot counting is actually still underway in Arizona. And Alex Stone tells us Joe Biden's lead over Donald Trump in that state is actually shrinking.
In Maricopa County around Phoenix, the elections office saying it will keep counting all valid ballots until they are done. They have plenty of time under state law until the end of the month. Biden's lead has been eroding by the day in Arizona as results have come in. Even if Trump could turn around and win Arizona, he still would not be projected to win the presidency.
Biden still leading Trump by about 14,000 votes in Arizona.
Now, even as he refuses to concede last week's U.S. election, Donald Trump appears to be preparing for another run at the presidency. Sources say Trump is expected to announce this week he's forming a Leadership Political Action Committee, or PAC, which will give him the ability to accept political donations. Trump has reportedly told aides privately he might just run for president again in 2024.
Now, as all of this takes place, we're getting word that the White House has apparently been telling federal agencies to ignore Joe Biden's transition team until Trump actually accepts defeat, meaning Joe Biden probably hit the golf course.
Sure.
Why not?
Why not?
Exactly. Back here at home, BC Civil Liberties Association saying that for more than 3 years, the Mounties been sitting on a watchdog report on its complaint about surveillance of anti-oil protesters. Now the group is asking the federal court to order its disclosure. Association's court filing is seeking an order declaring the delay has interfered with the association's ability to speak out about important public matters, reaching its charter right of free expression.
Overseas now, intensive care is the last line of defense for severely ill new coronavirus patients, and Europe is running out of beds and the doctors and nurses to staff them.
In Italy, lines of ambulances park outside hospitals awaiting beds. And in France, the government coronavirus tracking app prominently displays the intensive care capacity taken up by COVID-19 patients, 92.5% and rising. In the ICU wards in Barcelona, there's no end in sight for the doctors and nurses who endured this once already. Earlier in the year, health officials, many advocating a return to stricter lockdowns, warn that adding beds will do no good because there aren't enough doctors and nurses trained to staff them. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
You're listening to News 1130, Vancouver's breaking news, traffic and weather station.
Well, we are on the eve of Remembrance Day, which of course is tomorrow, and the Prime Minister now acknowledging that many veterans are going to be staying home this year and that too many of the legions that support them are facing tough times themselves.
Our veterans served Canada with honor and valor. They stepped up for us, and now we must step up for them. So today, I can announce that the Government of Canada is providing $20 million to create the new Veterans Organizations Emergency Support Fund.
Now, this comes on the heel of a new poll for Historic Canada, which finds that fewer people are wearing poppies this year. And not surprisingly, numbers are also down when it comes to attending ceremonies tomorrow, even virtually. 111. Set back over to the traffic center. What you got, Matt Coppin?
Well, first off, there is a crash in Vancouver. It's on Oak Street, southbound, right at 70th. You're sneaking by in a single lane, and southbound there, the volume is backed up right around to about almost 57th, the Marple stretch. So Cambie or Granville to 70th is the way you want to go. I want to take Oak southbound directly. Get stuck in that volume there. Golden Ears Bridge, looks like a pickup truck with a trailer, but the trailer wasn't fully secured, so a couple pieces of